topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hi, welcome to Learning to Dance in the Rain, where we have my guests and I will have conversations about dealing with difficult life issues, and maybe not difficult ones, just learning about living and enjoying life again. Learning to dance is any kind of activity that you decide to do. And I suggest that you get busy doing something. I am Shelby Wagner. I was a teacher. I'm a retired teacher now and church musician. And now I am a podcast host or live radio, and I welcome you here today. We're going to talk about navigating the maze of love. That's part 4. And I have my guest, Carl Litchfield, who's a pastor. He's been a pastor for 41 years. And he's traveled to different countries to teach Bible studies and so on. And I'm just very happy to have him as a cohort on the first Tuesday of every month. Thank you, Carl. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Shelby. Thank you. It's nice to be together again.
Yeah, we have interesting time, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes,
yeah.
we do. We haven't argued and fought in quite a while. Maybe it'll happen today. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, we do have share the goal of having a good spiritual renewal every Sunday.
Exactly.
And I do usually feel better when I leave from church.
That's wonderful.
It's a good day. Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder how you survived 2 services there on Sunday morning. Well, I wonder what you do the rest of the day.
most of my ministry has been with 2 services a day. There were only twice that I served just one church at a time. And one of those churches had 2 services on Sunday. Had an early praise service and a later a traditional service. So most of my Sundays, I've always had to, it's not a have to, I've always enjoyed that second opportunity to lead worship. And what really pleases me and really brings joy to my heart is the opportunity to share that preaching moment, to find out together what God has to say to each of us. And I will be honest with you, the Holy Spirit, I may know what the journey is going to be like, how we're going to begin at this point. We're going to take these steps along the way. This is the conclusion, but I have really no idea what kind of words God's going to give me to be able to say those things to get us from the beginning to the end. And sometimes I'm taken by surprise at how it all fits together. I believe that the preaching moment is a Holy Spirit inspired moment. And that's exciting to me, that God would choose to use a guy like me to accomplish great things like that. So yeah, that's what gets me up on Sunday morning. I will tell you that's the truth.
Do you preach the same sermon at both services then?
Well, that's the intent. They don't really come out the same because I don't have a text. I'm not reading from a manuscript. Mm-hmm. And the point, I think of it more or less like a baseball diamond. I start out at home plate and try to get I know where first base is. I know where second base is. Try to get around to third. And the idea is to, with the conclusion, I know that these are the steps along the way. The conclusion is to bring us back to that home base where we had the final realization of what it is that God has in store for us that day. So I just know what the points of destination are along the way. I just don't know how God's going to say it. The services, the two different sermons are pretty close together, but sometimes it really comes together swiftly, smoothly, wonderfully in one church, and the other one I just sort of feel like, gee, I stumbled through that one, or I forgot that illustration, or I was going to tell that story. And so they're slightly different. They can't be repeated word for word.
So you have a plan A, a plan B, and plan
yeah.
C, whatever happens.
Yeah. Plan C is what happens if I forget that story. Wait a minute, I was going to tell something. No, there was something in here. What was that I was going to say?
I worked, one of my jobs as a church musician, I was choir director.
Yeah.
And two services. The 8:00 service, I either sang or a solo or asked other people, to participate. Most of the time I was singing myself alone. And then the second service was, of course, the choir, and I directed the choir. Sure. I really enjoy that do it, and say, well, if I'm going to be in church, I might as well be playing the piano. So it's well, today's service is discussion conversation is continuing our discussion about love.
Right.
And you said that well, the first part of my book, of course, is about love, and that did you want to start with that chapter?
Yeah,
10?
It was chapter 10. And the first page is page 51, where you have the, you're right, that in our English language, we just don't have, we only have one word for love. It's love, and that's about it. And the Greeks have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I think you touched on a couple more, 8 or 9 different words that reveal different aspects or different characteristics about different kinds of love.
Right.
And I think the first one is you have listed here as eros, a sexual passion and desire. And I think that's what we feel in that first physical attraction when we are meeting someone and evaluating, is this person going to be a suitable partner to me? Am I attracted to this person? A lot of times it's a physical attraction that, well, speaking from a man's perspective, I'm not exactly sure that it would be the same for a woman, but for a man to take a look at a woman and say, well, she's really beautiful, or she's very attractive, and to be kind of magnetically drawn to that person. I'd like to get to know her. I'd like to strike up a conversation. I'd like to maybe see if she'd, or if you're in a social gathering, maybe would she dance with me? Could I bring her a beverage? Could we sit and talk? Could we share a table? But a lot of that has to do with physical attraction, the lust, and I think that's the first basic attraction that. For a man especially, and maybe you could elaborate further from a woman's perspective. I would like to hear Shelby, if you elaborate more about the initial attraction for a woman toward a man. What is it that draws you in? Would you also characterize that as lust, or something a little bit more intellectual, or something a little bit different?
Well, I think you're first attracted by their looks, but after you get to know them, they look different than when you first met them.
Right. Well,
I was amazed sometimes when I'd start talking with a fella at the dances, and he was okay looking, nice looking, but as I got to know his personality and got to know him,
right,
he started to look better and better.
Oh, I see. All right.
Yeah. And then in some cases it was the other way around. you met them and you thought, gee, this guy, he looks pretty good. And you get to start talking to them and you realize that he's,
You're,
you know,
you're,
he's
be,
got some flaws.
you're
And
beginning, your first step is similar to what a man does looking for a woman to be physically attractive. But I think immediately you're beginning to start that personality evaluation. I think you have a little more difficult assignment. Women trying to evaluate men, you have a little bit more difficult assignment. You've got to look into the inner man and find out, is this person, is this a quality man? Is this a trustworthy man? Is this someone that I could trust with my life and my future? Of course, you're not going to plunge into, gosh, will you marry me, and will we be able to spend 50 years together on the first date or anything like that? But I think that eye to the future is a little bit more. I said this to Jerry. When we first started these first conversations, I think I told this story that she and I were at a movie house, and we were way early. We'd gone out for dinner, and we went and bought our tickets, and we're sitting in the lobby of this multiplex theater, and there's hundreds of people going through the lobby, and we're just watching people. And I turned to Jerry and I said, "We men are the lucky ones because we get to date all the beautiful women, and you women are the unlucky ones because you're stuck with having to date us ugly men." And he says, Jerry has a way with words, and she called me an idiot.
I hope it wasn't the first date.
Oh no, we've been married like 20 years no, we had our 25th anniversary at this point, but we got around this conversation 25 years down the road, and she's not going to throw me out because I'm stupid, because at this point anyway. But she said, you just don't understand. You're looking for physical beauty, but what men are looking for physical beauty, but what women are looking for personal integrity. Can I trust this man to love me? Will this man be consistent? Can I give this man my heart, or will he break it? Will he be faithful or unfaithful? Will he be a good provider, not just for me, but if we get married and we begin a family, will he be faithful and careful and loving to our children too? Will he be a good father? Will he teach the children well from the father's perspective? There's a lot of what you women are looking for is so hidden and so deep down inside such a depth of personality, a depth of reading this man and trusting that this man is worthy of a commitment, and this man will also make a commitment. I think you have the more difficult initial work to be done as you begin developing a new relationship. I think men have to do that eventually, but
right.
I think maybe that comes more like that with the 7-year itch. We've been married quite a long time. Lust has settled down, and really, now who am I married to? And then you have to end up making a decision. I can remember this point between Jerry and I, and it really was around 7 years of our marriage. I married Jerry, and this is who she is. I know her completely. I know her well. I know her strong points. I know her good points. I know her flaws. And no matter what, I said I'd love her forever. And it was that point, I think, that I changed out of that fixation on lust and went into that mature kind of love. I think that you call here, it's called the pragma, or long-standing love, the mature, realistic love that develops between two people over time. Mine just took 7 years down the road after our marriage. It was 8 years, and we'd known each other a year before we got married. So it was 8 years down in the time in our relationship before I came to that more mature understanding of what it takes. What is this love going to really? What is a mature love like?
Mhm. Mhm.
A
7
transition
year
out of
itch.
that initial lust into mature love. Mhm.
Is that the 7 year itch? Or what's up?
Yeah, well, yes, yeah. There's some boredom setting in. There was some, the regularity was, passion was waning and that sort of thing. There was sort of a ho-humness to the relationship, and so yeah, there was um, a real kind of restlessness that begins to settle in when we begin to take for granted this married relationship. And it doesn't seem to be as exciting as it once was. And you begin to wonder,
Mhm.
um, and
Um,
so, yeah, some of the restlessness comes in about that time.
yeah. So, um, I know people that have divorced twice or more
Okay.
after 5 years.
Only 5 years.
And I'm wondering what you're saying is that's when they really have gotten to know the person and decided that maybe they made a mistake, or
Right.
is
They
it
think they made a
thinking,
mistake.
well, maybe
Mhm.
I could do better?
Right. Entirely possible. Or maybe they've lost that initial excitement that comes from that first experience of the heart fluttering, and that sort of thing. That first lust experience. Is a good friend of ours that Jerry and I have known this man for a long, long time, and he's in a long-standing, wonderful marriage now. But at a time when he was in the Navy, he was assigned to submarines, and he would be gone 6 months of the year at a time out on submarine deployment. And it turned out that while he was gone, his wife was out bar hopping and picking up guys and bringing them home for one night stands and that sort of thing. And when they tried to salvage their marriage, which proved to be impossible over the long haul, the marriage eventually dissolved. When they went into counseling together, the counselor finally said to our friend, it said, the problem is that your wife is addicted to falling in love. She's addicted to passion. She thinks that this is the kind of what is makes a relationship really tick. And so when she's been in a long-term relationship for quite a while, and the boredom is setting in, and the loss of passion is there, she's going to go out to try and recreate that. And she did that again and again, even after their divorce. It was a pattern that she went through again and again. There was this continuous restlessness,
Right.
and so yeah, and I think young people in our immaturity, and we don't really understand what it takes to have that long-standing love. We begin to think, maybe I made a mistake. This is not the guy. This is when we were dating, he was Prince Charming, and now look at the big fat slob. He's sitting there drinking his beer, and this is not what I signed up for. Or look at her; she's had 3 children. Look at the weight she's put on. This is, I'm not so sure that's what I was hoping for, and so there's a disappointment, when we age and our bodies change, and we're not as passionate as we once were, and that sort of thing. Uh, People can begin to interpret that as I chose the wrong person, and want out without a clear understanding of, this is really a maturing and a gradual metamorphosis of what your original loving relationship or lust relationship into a long-term loving relationship, but it takes determination to stick it out.
I think that's very, very good the way that you put that. And I could see that in this uh my son's second marriage. That's
I see.
definitely.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. In fact, I think she had been married once before they met
All
and
right.
got married. And then she's been married at least twice in the 7 years
Oh my.
since.
Well,
Isn't that something? I mean,
that sounds like the pattern we're talking about, that she keeps
mhm,
repeating it. She
mhm.
keeps repeating it.
I call that, instead of being when you're thinking about getting married to this person and you're, oh, I'm in love, and then really I call it in lust.
Yeah, right, right. You had on page 53, you had a couple of good discussions there. You were having well, on page 52, you're having a conversation with a man that you were in a dating relationship with.
Uh-huh.
And it starts towards the bottom of page 52. He said, I love you, but I am not in love with you. And you paused a moment and considered what he'd said. And you asked him, what's the difference? And he immediately responded, don't you know? I guess I'm not sure. Please tell me what you mean. So he began to explain, I love you like I love my daughters and my friends, but I am not in love with you. I was in love with my wife. I knew when I first met her that she was the one I wanted to be with for all the time for the rest of my life. I like you a lot, but I am not in love with you. And so you're saying that you fell in love at first sight with your wife? And he said, yes. And then you went on to, well, you were young and that sort of thing. And you went into a discussion at top of page 53. What is the difference between being love at first sight? Love takes time. We can like at first sight, or we can lust at first sight, but I don't think we can love at first sight. And I think you're absolutely accurate there. Not true love, not the mature love, but that first magnetic love, that first attractive love that
Yes.
helps us to begin to establish a relationship with the idea that hopefully we'll be around long enough for this relationship to enter into a maturity. That's a lasting relationship.
Right. What do you think about that next one, the philosia, love of self? The Greeks
Yeah,
considered it the healthiest form of love, because if you can't love yourself, you can't love somebody else.
yeah. I think that is exactly in compatibility. It's an exact um, well, let's see. It's an exact likeness to what it is that Jesus is teaching when Jesus is asked, what is the greatest commandment? And Jesus begins by saying, Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. So love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength. And then he goes on to say, and the second commandment is like that, to love your neighbor as yourself. Now that is exactly what this philotia, how do you pronounce that? Philotia?
Philosia is how I pronounce it, but I'm no
Yep.
Greek.
Well, that's okay. I don't know Greek either. So, either pronunciation, I think, is accurate the way it's spelled. Philosia is a self-love, because the healthiest form of love, because what you have written here, because it encompasses the idea that if you like yourself and feel secure, then you have plenty of love to give to others. So there has to be a healthy love, love others as you love yourself, says Jesus. So what Jesus is saying is, first of all, there has to be a healthy love of self, a healthy respect for yourself, a healthy acknowledgement of your personal needs, a healthy self-care for yourself, and a good self-awareness and good self-esteem. All of these positive qualities about yourself, you are then a person of good personal, emotional health and strength. You have something to offer to someone else. And as you have learned to be gentle and graceful for yourself and towards yourself, you can then know what it's like to offer that to someone else. So the first step of love is caring for yourself well. And then knowing that you are somebody of real worth, not only are you looking for someone that you can share that love with, but you also understand that you yourself you're offering a gift to someone else, that you are a quality person, and you have good self-confidence about that. And you know that you will be a blessing to the person with whom you will create this new relationship with, and that you will be doing something good and uplifting for someone else. And that's, I think, a source of joy and true happiness within us, when we know that we are living for someone else, helping someone else, lifting up someone else, caring for someone else, helping someone else to have a better life. So I think this philotia, as you say, is where loving yourself first, so that you can love someone else well, is exactly right on spot. And the Greeks are right about it, and Jesus is saying it also in a different way, but I think they're both speaking about the same thing.
Mhm, mhm.
And I think it's very important. You got to have healthy self-respect to be able to give yourself as a gift to someone else, who is also, as you discover who this other person is, you're discovering this person is worthy of such a tremendous gift as you're giving to them. That gift is you, that you are worthy of being, you are a wonderful gift to give to someone else. But you have to make sure, before you give yourself away, that this person is worthy to receive this beautiful gift that you're giving to that person yourself.
Right. Remember that you are a quality person
Exactly.
and you
You're
deserve
right.
a
You're right.
quality person in return.
Exactly. You're right. Yep. Yep. Excuse me for a second.
Yeah. I I think, well, I know the reason I got in so much trouble with the scammers is that I'm honest person,
Okay.
and
All
I
right.
try to help others to have a better life. And
Sure.
I have a difficult time in discerning whether another person, I expect them to be the same. And so then when they are deceitful, or I
Right.
learn, that really crushes me.
Right. And because you trusted them initially, it makes it a little more difficult to actually come to the realization they're not being honest with me, or they're taking advantage of my trust, and
Mhm.
they're not loving me. They're harming me. They're hurting me. That has to be an awful realization to come to, an awful decision point. I just can't do this anymore, because they're really hurting me and not helping me.
Mhm.
And because you're trusting initially, it makes it difficult to come to that step of reality. Oh, this is not exactly what I thought.
And there are you see things, red flags along the way,
Okay.
and you
Yeah.
need to pay attention to those.
Right. Right. Right.
You really do, because it's very difficult to walk away from someone that you have uh, thought you loved, or maybe
Hmm.
you love them, but they're
Right.
not
Right.
loving you back the
Right.
way
Right.
you deserve. So,
Right.
and that leads us into this, the lists in the end of that chapter.
Sure. Sure.
Um, how do I know he loves me? How can I tell? What do
Right.
you think?
Right. Well,
Uh,
it was.
Go ahead.
I looked at as I studied these lists. The one that Sabrina Alex offered
Uh-huh.
for women. How can they be sure that the man they love really loves them back? I liked her list, but there were a couple of things. I first of all, I thought some of these things could be a subjective judgment, and others could be an objective measurement. something that you could say that this actually happened. This is actually what he has done for me. I have seen him do this. We have shared this moment. And I put down an S for the subjective things and an O for the objective things. And out of this list, there were only 3 things that I marked as subjective. Like it would be very, very difficult to actually prove how that these things are true. The objective things that I wrote down, most of these are objective. The second one, I'll begin with the second one. He wants to give to you. Well, that's an objective thing. You'll be receiving the presents or the flowers or the little loving gestures that take you by surprise. Those are wonderful things, and you know that it happens frequently. So you know that that is true because that is exactly what he's done for you. He treats you like a priority. He really puts you first in the important things in his life, or right near the top. I like to sing love songs to my wife, and oh boy, it's I'm not even going to be able to say it right now, but there's one song that says there's here it is. Have I told you
We
lately?
lost some sound here.
Have I told you lately that I love you?
Or is it me that's lost the sound?
Am I?
Is there some? Are you? I can't hear.
Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear both of you.
Okay, Shelby.
What's happened?
Well,
go ahead and talk about them.
I'm going to sing
Carl,
that song.
I'll see what I can do
explain.
about
I'm going to go ahead and sing that song. Have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one else above you? And I sing more of the song, but I always stop there because theologically, I know I can't really say that because Jerry is important to me, but she is not my God. At first, I thought she was my God because I thought she's the one, her love is going to save me. And I found out, no, she's only a human being. I can't get salvation out of her. But, and so I always have to slip in there. There's no one else human above you, Jerry, but God is certainly above you. That's how I work that out. And Jerry knows that, and she laughs when I sing it that way. Are you back able to hear me now, Shelby? Are you hearing things now?
I still can't hear him talking, so I don't know.
Huh.
We'll just have to. I still can't hear.
Rebel, can you speak to her? Can she hear you? Well, I'm going to go through the list here. He treats you like a priority. He wants to immerse himself in your life. He really sees you. He doesn't just love you. He loves things about you. Your happiness is as important to him as it is his own. He misses you when you're apart. He keeps you in the loop. He's there for you even when it's inconvenient. And I marked that down with 3 O's. That is a really a great objective measurement for a man's love for a woman. And he doesn't give up. He doesn't give up. The things that I thought subjective is the first one, the way he looks at you, the way he looks at you. I thought that perhaps that was, it'd be easy to be taken with those looks of love and that sort of thing, but it could be that that is not conveying the reality of what he has intended for you. He misses you when you're apart. I also marked that down as subjective because you might be just guessing that. He might be telling you that, whether he is missing you or not. And you don't worry how he feels, you just know it. And that one I also marked down as subjective. And what I wrote here is you trust him because he has already told you how he feels. And so I think that you just it's not just you just know it, but you know it because your trust in him has grown over the time, and he has already shared with you over and over again his own honest feelings for you, for things in the world, for what he's going through. You know his feelings. He's been upfront and honest with you about how he feels. And so then, because he has already uh, objectively told you about his feelings, now you trust him because he has revealed to you how he actually feels. So that was my take on that list of for women, how they can tell if a man actually loves her.
Mm.
Is that
That
making
was
sense?
very good.
Okay.
There was one of the men that I first started dating from the internet dating site, and really got me. He told me right away that he couldn't make me a priority in his life,
Oh,
and I should have listened. You know,
we tried to tell you something there, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
He had four children, four daughters, and I think 13 grandchildren,
Oh,
and so that really hurt me because I really liked him, you know, and
you had hopes. You had hopes.
I had hopes there,
Yeah, right,
but
right.
but as I looked the list over, right there, he didn't treat me like a priority, and
No.
he didn't immerse me in his life. I never ever met any of his family.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
we didn't get that far, and I should
Huh.
have. These were a lot of red flags. I wish I had known
Well,
because I wouldn't have wasted time thinking about him so much.
you would have
But
protected yourself. Sure, of
yeah,
course. Of course you would.
right. And then he keeps you in the loop. No, I never knew. Oh yeah, I love you. Blah blah blah. And he talked to me or texted me every day, and then all of a sudden I didn't see him for weeks. Didn't hear from
Oh,
him for weeks.
oh, oh.
So I had all these red flags. I think right then and there. And the interesting thing is that once I found someone, uh, then it wasn't long after till this fella texted me back. Well, I don't know what I did to lose you.
Well, you want me to spell it out for you, buddy?
Right. I said, read my book.
Yeah.
But so that was just an aside. I thought it was very funny. Well, how about this next list and about for you
Oh,
guys
poor guys. Yeah.
wanting to
Mhm.
know about if the woman really loves you for sure.
If a woman really loves a man. Okay. And I went through this list and put an S for subjective. And really, honestly, the whole list I marked completely as an objective because it would be possible to count on your fingers. It's an objective list. Number one, number two, number three. This has happened on these occasions. I remember all of these different times when this occurred. So this is things that's actually happened between us. Things she's actually done for me. So she supports your passions. First of all, she's interested in what's important to you, and she's interested in what you would like to base your life on. She's interested in your plans for your future. I think all that is tied up in that word passions, and she's showing that in real active support for the things that you want to do. And she's not tearing you down. You got some passion you want to be, especially when you're young, you want to go into this particular field of endeavor. And she starts to say, "Oh, well, you never make it in that field, and you really got to be awfully smart to do that. So obviously, you could never accomplish that." She'd be tearing you down when you're trying to say this is what really builds me up. So that would be a red flag there. But anyway, past the passion, she wants to get to know your friends, and I think that to be able to integrate her into your circle of friends, and the other thing would be true too, that she wants to introduce the woman you're interested wants to introduce the man in her life to her friends, and she's gonna be checking out their opinion of you. They want to know, do you think? I think he's a quality guy. Do you think he's a quality guy? Are you, do you see the same things I'm seeing, or is there something that I'm missing here? Because women, you trust your women friends' opinions about this, and so it goes both ways. Not only does she want to know my friends, but also she wants to introduce me to her friends as well. I think that's a two-way street there. She's pleasant with your family. She's not going there to pick a fight with your mother. Of course, then again, you're not comparing the guys. You're not comparing her with your mom. I can't stand eating your potato salad because you make it different from the way my mommy made it. And that's not going to make points with you and this new lady in your life. So, but she is pleasant with your family. I think that, she's going to give them the benefit of the doubt. She's going to try. She's going to be gracious. She's going to be listening and open to learning about them and accepting them as they are, and but also being careful for herself that if this family is really rough and rugged and they're rough on her and that sort of thing, I wouldn't put up with that for too long a time. So she wants to be pleasant with your family if your family is gracious and polite and accepting of her all in initially. So that also is a two-way street. She compliments you all the time, and I think guys are especially vulnerable to this. We really need to be pumped up. We really need a pat on the back. We really need encouragement. And I think that would be especially, guys, same thing is true. Women need to be encouraged and complimented also. This, again, two-way streets. She's passionate about you. Now that would be a real compliment. That would be a real compliment. And you can tell that, that the times of intimacy spent together and whatever level that you allow yourself in your personal relationships and that sort of thing needs to be genuine. And so this could be a subjective sort of thing. You might think perhaps that she is passionate about you, but it could be that simply she's putting on an act. So I don't know how to get to the heart of that, but she certainly needs to, be demonstrating passion towards you. And if she's cold and indifferent to you in a physical way, and that's important to you, well, that also would be a red flag for the future of your ongoing relationship. Mm-hmm. She's patient with you. Yes, let's just say yes. I think you ladies, again, you got the tougher side of this. Us guys, we can be real hard-headed nincompoops if we're not paying attention. And so, yeah, you got to really break us in gently, okay? I think men really need to be domesticated. I can remember when I was a single guy in the Air Force, and we were getting to be awfully rough cut. Our language is horrible, and one of the older men in our detachment took us aside and he says, "Why are you young guys talking like that in front of these women? Don't you have any respect for women? You should be toning down the way that you talk to each other and don't use such rough language in front of women." That really, I took that to heart. I thought, yeah, where have I been? Guys left to ourselves, if it's just guys with guys all the time, we can get really rough cut. We can really get really earthy and really low kinds of ways of dealing with each other, and language and talking and that sort of thing. I think women are a domesticating force for men. I think that we really need to be shown how to live gently. I think we really need to be shown how to live a more caring life and to be aware of others more around us and of their feelings and that sort of thing. I think that this is the gift women give to us men, to domesticate us, if you will, but calm us down a little bit and lead us out of that animal life of guys with guys, and really gentle us down a little bit. I really think that men really need this gentling influence of women. And she's eager to discuss the future with you. I think that's a big plus right there. She openly communicates with you. The times of sharing that you have, the times of conversation, that is so important form of intimacy, that you can just talk about anything and everything, and then you don't hold back. You know, the worst things that have ever happened to you, the secrets of your life, you open up yourself to sharing those, because you know that your partner is going to listen gently and will not use that information against you, will not ever reveal it to others to humiliate you. You can trust your partner. Open communication, again, that two-way street. Your arguments are had with the intention of fixing the issues. You're not there to beat one another down, but you're looking for the solution to the problem, and you're trying to do that in a creative and gentle way. You don't have to be yelling at each other at the top of your voice, but looking for that way, you know, we got a problem here. How did this develop? What can we do about it? Looking at it, approaching it from a rational rather than an emotional point of view. He doesn't try to change you, although, as I was saying, if I've come into the situation out of my fraternity habits and that sort of thing, then maybe she does need to train me a little bit. Like, yes, okay, I'm sharing a house with a female, so I have to learn how to put down the toilet seat. Okay, I can learn this lesson. So there are certain ways, small ways perhaps, that we do need to be changed, but not to, to change us in our political affiliations, or change us in our religious convictions, or the big things in life. Does she really accept you as you are, who you are in a very basic way as a human being? Doesn't try to change you. She does little things for you. All of these are objective. Her friends have taken an interest in you. Again, that's a wonderful sign. She's not judgmental toward you at all. She compromises with you. The one thing that I put down is totally subjective is you just feel it. So that I think more than feelings, these other things are objective and quantifiable. You can count the times that they've happened. And
Okay.
so
We're
that's
running
all the more important. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be quiet now. I'll be quiet.
Okay.
I'll stop.
I very much appreciate you being here, Carl, and helping me with this.
I've enjoyed it.
I want to tell the audience, hope you come back next week at 12 noon on Tuesdays. We'll be right here, and Keenan Booker is a historian, and he's going to be talking about love in the in the Middle Ages. That's easier to say.
Wow,
Isn't that the same as medieval times? And very interesting. When I first talked to him about being on we wanted to be on my show, and I said, well, how does that fit in with my theme, And then he says, well, learning about the history of our past helps us to know why we act the way we do today. And I thought that was a very interesting thing for him to say. And I'm looking forward to that. So happen to go on Amazon.com. You will see my past episodes, and YouTube channel at Shelby Wagner. They are also there. You can listen to them. And thanks for coming, and maybe even order my book, Scams or Learning to Dance in the Rain. I'll see you next week. And thank you, Carl, for being here.
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
it.
God bless you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.